very good afternoon, everyone. And thank you so much for joining us this afternoon for this interesting session on Listen Up, harnessing the art of effective listening. In order to communicate in a proper manner, not only talking and non-verbal communication, but a large aspect is the ability to listen. Listening is a vital task in order to build a relationship and find meaning in someone else's words. Our today's speaker for the session, Gauri Priya Seturam, a practicing Bharatanatyam artist for the last 22 years. She is adept at various Indian paintings, music, and theatre. Her company, India Shades, was established in 2019 to share the knowledge of rich, ancient art and knowledge forms of India with a discerning audience. India Shades has been offering programs based on Indic culture wisdom as a way of employee engagement, learning, and development. In 2021 alone, India Shades has conducted nearly 75 sessions to about 12,000 people globally. A warm welcome to you, Gauri, and thank you so much for joining us today. And over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Atika, for having me over. And thank you to all of you who have logged in today. Before I even start, I would like to understand who's on the other side of the room, right? So what I would request audience members here is to kindly put up what business function of your company you're working in. Are you in marketing? Are you in sales? Are you into finances? Can I just have a little bit of a soundboard from your hand? Okay. Coding operation. Okay. Healthcare. All right. IT. Okay. Thank you, Kirti. Vishwanath and IT. Okay. Sales. Okay. Coding development. Okay. All right. I feel like a large chunk of you are techies. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But I'm going to optimize it for all of us today because listening today becomes a life skill. Okay. On that note, let's start with a small game. Are you all ready? I'm going to be reading out something. Bajaj Auto has seen an uptick in demand for its electrical vehicle offering, Chetak. The bookings of electric Chetak have doubled from 3,000 units to 7,000 units a month. The uptick in demand was reported after the company reduced the price of the vehicle from 1,40,000 to a starting price of 1,21,000. The electric vehicle is available in 60 cities in India. In an interaction, Rakesh Sharma, the executive director of Bajaj Auto, said, "We've been able to redefine our cost structure and relook at our vendors for the electric vehicle business." Okay. So the question is, which model of electric vehicle were we talking about now? Okay. Chetak. Okay. What was it? What was the number that they had seen a rise in? $3,000, $11,000. Okay, cool. Who was the executive director? Rakesh. Rakesh, last name? Rakesh Sharma. All right. What was the reduction in cost? How much cost was cut down? Okay. Thank you all so much. I would like you to stay on the last question I asked, which was, what was the cost that was cut down? Which is the subtraction. First of all, kudos to all of you. I mean, you really did get the intricacies. I don't know if your listening senses were already up because this was called an effective listening session. But I would like to dwell on the last question, wherein Akhil said it was 20,000, Prem said 21,000. Most of us said 147 to 121, 130 to 121. So I think Akhil and Prem deserve that they got the nuance right, which is the actual figure. What was it that was the gap between those two figures? So yes. All right. Let's keep this as an interaction because that way around, I know what I am trying to reach out to you and how you are able to receive it. So what do you think is the difference between hearing and listening. What do you think is the difference between hearing and listening? Whatever comes to your mind. If you feel like there is no difference, please feel free. Listening is something that the active mind should work. Listening is more understanding, okay? Hearing is to reply, okay? Hearing is by chance, listening is paying attention. Hearing is, he may skip or continue conversation, all right. So yes, hearing is something that happens in the background. Sometimes we put on music and then we work. We are actually concentrating on our work, wherein the music provides us the environment. But let's say we are stepping into music class, right? You're stepping into your guitar class or to your keyboard class. You're there with an intention to listen to the music and then benefit from it. So now, what is the difference between, now most of you got it right? We all know that hearing is something that happens in the background and listening is something that happens with intention. So what is the difference between listening and active listening, wherein we are trying to make that jump today? What do you think is the difference between listening to active listening? Okay. Hearing and listening itself is passive and active. But when we say active listening, it is not just listening with our ears. It is listening with all of our sense organs. So what do you mean listening with all our sense organs? Let's do a small activity. I hope my video is clear to everybody, right? So I want you to intently watch me. Just imagine, a young woman is getting dressed, okay? She opens her cupboard. She pulls out clothes. She decides what to wear. Maybe she's stepping out to an evening party, right? And then she decides on a particular cloth. She wears her earring. She wears her bangles. And she's ready. Okay. Now, what color is the cloth? What color is the cloth? Okay. Okay. How do you say it's red, purple? How many of you say, we don't know what color it is? Right. So to all of you, it was a sari, but don't know the color, right? Now let's step into the sphere of active listening, where I said listening should transcend beyond what we hear. So when I said there is this young woman who's getting dressed, right? Already you need to start imagining what she looks like, what age is she, right? It doesn't matter whether the sari is red, violet, olive green, or purple. What matters is that our imagination is working. It can be any color. But it's just that when I pulled out something, when I pulled out a cloth, you already know what kind of cloth it might be. Okay. What kind of earrings was she wearing? Not mentioned. Jhumkas, okay. Any other earring that comes to your mind? Loops, yes, okay. Loops, okay. Button earrings, okay. Interesting, studs, okay. Interesting, let's keep it going. Dangling jhumkas, okay. All right. Now we step it up. In the first instance, I told you, that whatever I pull out, you can imagine the color. But when I wore the earrings, I specifically made an action to say that it's heavy. I did not fall off with the weight, but we made this action to say that it's heavy, which means it cannot be a stud. So this would be a stud, right? But this would be much more heavier. It would be jhumkas. And remember, she was going to a party, right? So now many of these things, right? So we had two levels here where in the first scenario, we could imagine the color of the sari. The second instance is where somebody has done something, but we've not paid enough attention to it. So now, why is this important? Why is the scenario of a woman getting dressed important to us today? It's not about the woman or it's not about the dressing. Let's say you're speaking to your client and they keep looking at their watch or they keep checking their phone. It means to say that they're late for something. And that is what we need to catch on. Right? So now we are clear. I'm just going to reframe this to everybody who said you didn't mention the color of the sari. It was supposed to be imagined. And let's say we were not able to do it the first time. From now onwards, let's say anybody speaks about anything, start with your imagination about what is this person is trying to do. Okay. So now that we've got this across the table, we started with hearing, we went to listening, and then now we went to active listening, which is to hear not just with our ears, but with our entire senses. Okay. Now, why should I listen? I've already finished my high school. I've already written my exams, right? I'm already in a job. Why should I keep listening to people? Because irrespective of whatever life stage we are in the business of relationships. You have a relationship with your client, you have a relationship with your manager, you have a relationship with your juniors and your peers. And to keep this active and alive, we need to be good listeners today. So now, for example, where do I start? We have this aspect of the world with which these relationships need to be alive. And that is why active listening to us as professionals is very important, irrespective of whether we listen to our teachers, irrespective of whether we listened to our college mates. Today, it is very essential that we tone this up. Okay. So in the next 45 minutes or so, I'm going to take you through a series of small things that will help you keep this on a day-to-day basis. Okay. So now, how many of you here are fans of The Devil Wears Prada? Yeah. So it's quite a famous movie. And now let me ask you a question. What do you think of Meryl Streep? What kind of a person was she? What do you think of her? Right? So let me just cue in that. What do you think? She's a fashion diva. Yeah. Anything else that comes to your mind when you think of her? Good person, bad person, good boss. What kind of a person do you think she is? Okay. She's a good mentor. Okay. Somebody says she's a good mentor. Okay. All right. I'm just going to share this one clip. Here, the volume is low, but what they talk doesn't matter. Okay. Let's just watch this.
Who are you?
My name is Andy Sachs. I recently graduated from Northwestern University.
And what are you doing here?
Well, I think I could do a good job as your assistant. And, yeah, I came to New York to be a journalist and sent letters out everywhere and then finally got a call from Elias Clark and met with Sherry up at Human Resources. And basically, it's this or Auto Universe.
So you don't read Runway?
No.
And before today, you had never heard of me?
No.
And you have no style or sense of fashion.
Well, I think that depends on what you're...
No. That wasn't a question.
I was editor-in-chief of the Daily Northwestern. I also won a national competition for college journalists with my series on the Janitors Union, which exposed the
That's all.
exploitation of...
Okay. So that was one clip, right? Now, the scene is that she's come for an interview. Andy has come for an interview. And Miranda, when this movie was released, the kind of leaders that were supposed to be churned out or supposed to be were modeled after Miranda, right? So she was seen as this woman who held a lot of power, who got her way no matter what. And number two, but in today's world, this is not going to fly at all. You've invited somebody over for an interview or to just have a conversation. And what do you think Miranda did right or she did wrong? Anybody in the room? What do you think she did right? And what do you think she did wrong? Did not offer the seat? Yeah, thank you, Rakesh. Okay. She was rude. Sneha, in what sense was she rude? No eye contact. Yes. Judgmental. Yes. She was least bothered to listen to her. Yes. Not interested to listen to her. Yeah. So everything that we give out as a vibe, she did right. Okay. What do you think she did right, Nova? Okay. Right. So beyond our actual voice, there are thousands of voices that we give out to the world. When Miranda just raised her eye and looked at what kind of a dress she was wearing, she was judging her to say, this is not the dress that you wear to a company like mine. When she took the book and just slammed it in front of her and just started swapping the page, just ignoring her resume, she told her that I don't really care about your credentials, right? And now just think of all the interactions that you have had in the past. We have also been tiny aspects of Miranda today, yesterday. We might be one tomorrow also. So Miranda transitions from a figure that everybody sees and wants to become to a figure today that we do not want in office spaces anymore. She's actually seen as a toxic boss, where employees cannot tell how they're feeling. And even if they do say it, it is not well received, right? So this is the kind of transition that our world has gone through. And that is why, irrespective of any level in the hierarchy, we need to be good listeners to the person in front of us and to the world around us. And this is not rocket science. It is very simple. It's just that we have to be very, very conscious of our actions so far. Okay. So now let me just take you through a few things, keeping this clip in mind. And then I'm going to play another clip, just another 5 to 10 minutes down the line. All right. Okay. All right. So when Miranda was telling her, who are you? What do you do? The number one thing that we do when we say that we are listening is we are actually trying to think of what to say. Or we are thinking, if it's a discussion, how can I win this discussion? Number three, we are always thinking, what will help me have the last word? And then when we realize that we are wrong, we are trying to think of ways to tell people, I was mistaken, but I'm not actually wrong. So whenever we do say we are actively listening, we have a lot of judgments and clutter that is running through our mind to say, how is it that I can win? So this is the obstacle that we want to come back to today. All right. So before we get to how do we do that, there are a quick 5 to 6 step things that we can follow on a day-to-day basis, practice it so that we are seen as people that our team members can approach, right? All right. Now, this is a very, I'm going to be playing the video of a concert, okay? And there's a reason why I've chosen to speak about active listening today, because in the Indian art forms, be it dance, music, or theater, there is a lot of energies or dialogues that we take from somebody else, and then we project it back to the audience. And we are trained from a very young age to keep listening actively to the kind of instruments around us, to the kind of sound variation that is coming from other instruments around us. Okay, so I'm going to be playing a 2-minute clip now, and I'm going to be asking you a few very pertinent questions. Let's see what we think about this. Okay, so hope you can all see. All right, so the music might be a little jarring because I'm just starting it now. And I would request you to adjust volumes at your end, okay? Okay. So within this 1 minute, I'll tell you why this clip is special. Because in a concert, usually there is only one singer. The focus is on the singer, and all the musicians around the singer support the lead artist so that they shine. Okay, so it would be Dr. Balamurali Krishna's concert, and everybody around him will make sure that he shines, and they will get their individual spotlights later. But here, there are two singers who are equals. And how is it that, so it's the same when you're discussing something with your peer. You're both on the same level in the organization, and you both want to have your say. Now, what do you think you found beautiful in this clip, apart from the music? The music is beautiful. But what do you feel was a moment of understanding between these two artists? Coordination, okay. The gesture from women, okay. Appreciation, yes, it was harmonious. Teamwork, appreciation, yes. Let's not get into gender. This is nothing to do with gender here. Here, I want you to observe this moment at 4:48, wherein, she wanted to start singing, but she realized that he had not finished. Okay, I just want you to observe. It will come in the next 5 to 6 seconds. So did you see that? She started to sing, but then she realized that he was not done. He was not done with his piece. But then she steps back. Okay. Another moment of magic is that at the 5-minute mark. So she says, once he finished that upper tone, she realizes that it was beautiful, and then she smiles openly. Okay. Third moment of magic. So when he is singing, she is not telling the audience members, look at me. She's not adjusting her sari. She's not adjusting her jewels. She is completely focused on him because she wants the audience to be focused on him. All right. The last moment is at 5:26. Where whatever she sings does not overpower the song that he has started, but contributes in a very subtle way. So this is also a powerful example. And I'll tell you, when we reveal the steps of what it is to be an active listener, you will know why this was very important. Okay, so let's jump right in. Keeping these 2 videos in mind, right? Okay. All right. Okay, thank you for that, Sumbul. Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, thank you for the clarification. Waited for the other person to complete. So did you also realize that these were crucial moments which showcases professionalism? You can say yes, you can say no. Yes, it did. It gave everybody, including the co-artist, a wonderful space to let their speech, let their thoughts completely finish before they passed on the baton to somebody else. All right. So now that we've got this in our mind, let's just talk about few things, right? And we'll keep coming to the context of our professional lives about why to do that. So whenever in the 2 videos, we saw that Miranda didn't even look up at Andy completely, right? Wherein here in the second video, Kaushiki Chakraborty completely looked at her companion when he was singing. So both of them were seen as equals. And somebody rightly pointed out and said that, she didn't even offer her a seat, which is what we would do to anybody who walks into our office. So whenever we say face the speaker and maintain eye contact, it means to say, put them at the same level that you are in. When I say that, okay, we decided to speak about your promotion, we decided to speak about your leave, put the same person, put the person who's speaking to you, junior or senior, or amongst your peer, in the same level as you. It's not just about maintaining eye contact. It's the kind of voices that you're giving out to them to say, okay, we said we'll speak. I'm ready to speak. Let's speak. So it goes beyond eye contact, wherein in our mind, we are rephrasing that we are speaking to another equal, right? And of course, when it comes to clients are God. So we are actually be speaking to God. So yes. So that is what it means. It just does not mean maintain eye contact, right? That's very superficial, but it's time to go deeper. Be attentive, but relaxed. So now we know that, this has very connotations that say, as soon as I say, be attentive, we've got to be very intense. We don't break eye contact. We continuously see, oh yes. And we continuously keep showing them that, I'm completely invested in you. That also throws people off because people feel like we are faking it. So whenever we say, yeah, we really had to speak, let's speak. Okay. So the key to becoming more relaxed is to drop your voice tone. So whenever you tell to somebody, even if you've just come out of a huge boisterous meeting, right, wherein things did not go well, but then you've told somebody at 4 o'clock, okay, let's speak about this. As soon as you sit and the person in front of you also sits, you'll be like, take a deep breath, lower your octave one more level, and then start speaking. That shows to the other person that you are relaxed, you're not in a hurry, and you're giving them your full attention. All right. The next thing, keep an open mind. So we've all faced this issue, right? So I had a team member of mine who was having some off days in her life, right? And whenever she says, "Ma'am, I need to speak to you about something," I realized that, she's going to ask me for a holiday. And I would mentally prepare and say, "Oh, not again. I know what the sentence means." So this happened 3 times and this happened 4 times. And the 5th time when she said, "Ma'am, I really want to talk to you about something," she actually meant that the internet was down and she was not able to work. But before she even could get to that point, I told her, "No, we are having a full week. We are not getting any offs." So she was coming to me from a place of saying, let's get better today because let's do something to fix our internet today. But because of my preconceived notions about what this person is going to say, I shut them off. So what happened was I told her that I feel like you keep slogging off work. So whenever you say come with an open mind, do not come with preconceived notions. Let's say this product version you feel is right. Somebody else on your team, this product 2 version is right? Go with an open mind to say, why do you think it's right? Be open to having to getting those challenges to your own opinions. So it's just an opinion. It's not a judgment. So go with your opinion, go with well-formed opinions, well-researched opinions. But when somebody throws a curveball at you which challenges your opinions, be malleable to change. Right? So suppose, let's say you're in sales. You've had the same client call you 5 times, but never sign a deal. Maybe the 6th time, they are really open. The 5 times were just to test you, to see how is it that we are going to work together. So because we are in the business of sales, I need to constantly start talking to people. But if I get into that meeting with a closed mind to say, I don't think this is going to happen this time also, I'm not going to deliver by mist, so many things could have changed. The top management could have changed wherein they would have approved your product. And this would have actually been a happy meeting. And we don't bring our 100%. Especially in domains like sales, in domains like procurement, we've got to have this open mind so that we reach the best possible result for both parties. Okay. Listen and also picture. So that's what we did during the first activity, wherein I said that this woman was getting dressed. But immediately, because nowadays, why this picturing is important is because nobody is having in-person regular meetings anymore. Most of our meetings are on phones, it's on Zoom with both our cameras off. So I'm not able to picture anything. Now, this picturing is a 2-way game. It's not enough that you picture what the client is trying to tell you. The client must also picture what you are assuming. So let's say, for example, you're on the call with the client or with any of your team members and they say, okay, we need 5 units of this, we need 15 units of this, we need 20 units of this. Before even you say, yes, we can do that, we can say, just a minute, let me grab my diary so that I can make a better note of it. So when the other person on the call knows that you are completely invested in this call, and because you're writing it down, you're able to picture the products that somebody is asking for. You're able to picture the changes that somebody is asking for. Let's say they give you 5 items and then you look at the list and then you say, okay, I want to come back to item number 3. I don't think it's possible to do this. Can we do this after a week? Can we send you 4 items and then send item 3 after a week? Is that possible? So picturing is a 2-way process. the other person also needs to know that what you are imagining is completely correct. All right. So we are going to revisit this in multiple formats. I'm just taking you through the gist of it so that we come back to it once again. Don't interrupt and don't impose solutions. So this happens especially on debates in TV and debates within our family members, that we know the youngest member in the family thinks they have all the solutions. The eldest person also feels that they have all the solutions, but nobody is listening to each other. So whenever we step into a discussion, whenever we step into a meeting, we already think, I already have the best solution, just listen to me and just close it. But in this diverse world today, somebody might just have a better solution. So let's be open to those conversations. So this particular thing which says don't interrupt is what we saw in Kaushiki Chakraborty's concert, where she let him finish. Because he finished, she was also able to understand the full gist of it. He was also able to deliver to his heart's content and then come back. Okay. Wait for the speaker to finish to ask clarifying questions. So even if it's the most basic of things, even if it's something that you can deliver in your sleep, make sure you got it right. Always ask questions after the speaker has completed speaking. Question only to understand better. Right? So this is very difficult. And I've had conversations wherein, we know that the other line in the other end of the person on the other side does not really feel that whatever they're saying that is not a great solution. So for example, I'll just take my own profession because it's much more easier to relate. Somebody wanted us to do a training live with puppets. Okay. So you must imagine, so their puppets are dolls and they wanted to live stream the dolls. Okay. When they're speaking to each other, things like that. And we told them it is not possible to live stream it because there are 10 actors working behind the scene. It's going to have a lot of disturbances. We cannot shoot this out of a studio because you'll start hearing traffic noises because of the size of the puppets. We could not really take them to a studio. So then instead of saying, no, we can't do that, the person on the other end of the line is also trying to make it work. They're not trying to destroy us or completely throw us off our schedule. They are also trying to make it work in their own unique way. They think that this is the best. I think this is the best. So I told them, no, it cannot be live streamed. We will record it and we will just stream it. It's way better. So then this client of mine, they said, no, I don't think so. My people will just feel they're watching a movie. Right? But then I told them, but can you imagine the kind of coordination that you would have to do or I would have to do so that it's a seamless experience? At the end of the day, the experience for the viewer matters. And please trust me when I say this, we've done this and we've burnt our hands, but this is the best way to go forward. So I told him, what are the things that can go wrong? Right? And then I told him that his way is also good, but this is better for this particular point of time. So it is only when we say that our solutions are the best, you don't know what you're talking about, please keep quiet, they are going to get those vibes. But when we start ticking those boxes and we say, but this is better, but this is better, but this is better, they are also going to be convinced that you and the other party are working towards the best solution. At the end of the day, the solution should work. And both of you agree that this is the best solution. So this way around, question only to understand better. If I had said, have you ever hosted a puppet show? Do you know how difficult it is? They're not going to they're going to take offense, right? Or let's say we ask the sales team or the marketing team, the tech team was talking to them and saying, why do you think we are not able to do this? Or why did you go and promise that? Instead of this can be, do we have time to bring the solution? Do we have time to fix this particular feature? Have you asked the customer time? Why did you promise the customer that you can deliver it next week before even talking to us? Maybe the customer, your sales team will say, they were saying they're going to cancel the contract if we don't deliver. I could not do anything else. So then together, we want our organization to win. So let's say, okay, let's put our heads together. How is it that we can buy more time? What is it that we can tell our customer to make us buy more time, right? So how is it that I can work together with so many other people in my organization towards the organization's success? Because sales, marketing, they're always at loggerheads. I'm not sure about your companies, but traditionally they're always at loggerheads, right? So but that's because if somebody has promised something without asking the other party. So question to understand better. So that this does not repeat with all other customers that we encounter in the future. Try to feel what the speaker is feeling. So somebody in my company came and she said, this work time doesn't fit me anymore. I need to do, I'm doing 2 days work from home. I need 4 days work from home. And she said, and I knew it's not possible. We cannot do 4 days work from home. And instead of saying, why is it? We've already promised that we're going to work only 2 days from home. You'd already signed the letter. You know what you are signing up for. So this is the trick is, ask 3 whys. So let's say somebody asks me, I need 4 days work from home. I don't know what, I'm not able to make this work. This is killing me. I need 4 days work from home. So then you ask them, okay, what changed from last month to this month? Why is it that you're asking this work from home, this relaxation, right? Or this privilege now? Why? Why now? Then she's going to say, my kid has changed her school. Okay? And then you say, okay, why is it that you are taking this burden? Can your sister pick him up? Can your husband do it? Right? So the second why, you will understand that she has no support system. And then, people are going to say, everybody's been working long hours. Or they're going to say, nobody understands that he needs to be picked up from here. Right? And then the third why, you're going to ask, what will happen if this doesn't work? How can we ensure that we stick to the current plan? What will happen if we don't change currently? So when you ask these 3 questions, 3 whys, to go deeper into a person's request or a decision, you will know from what place. You will know that it's not you. You are not giving them so much work that they're so tired that they need to work from home and they need to compensate their commute time to put in that extra work. You know that she or he has a kid that needs to be picked up. So what happens is you are less guilty. Right? You are less guilty. You don't feel like somebody is going to leave this company if you don't fix this. The problem is not the work schedule, not the workload. The problem is that there is a mismatch between the work timing and the personal timing. So the problem is not work from home. The problem is mismatch of time. So whenever somebody tells you how they're feeling, always ask them 3 whys. Okay, you're sick. Why are you sick? What happened? You're constantly sick. Why is it that you've not seen a doctor? Right? So make sure that you try to feel it from a place of empathy, because we don't know what's happening in everybody's life. I might not know what's happening in my own best friend's life. So when they bring up a concern, try to feel it and then ask them deeper questions to make sure that you are not at fault. Or even if you are at fault, how is it that you can change a few things so that the issue is resolved? All right. Show them you're engaged. So many times I've seen so many people, and this is taught as a trait for executive presence, that the higher the chain you are, you don't show any expressions. You maintain a poker face. If somebody is giving you a monologue, somebody is crying their hearts out, you don't show them any expression. You just sit like this. So we don't even know if the screen is frozen or if the person just doesn't care. So how do you tell them that you are engaged? You give them cues. You nod your head and you say, okay, I understand. Is there something else? Okay. All right. I'm sorry this has happened. What else can we do? So make sure that you tell them that you're engaged. So in the concert, she kept nodding her head. She loved it when he finished. When she said, beautiful. So even in times of conflict, even in times of great triumph, always show that you are engaged. Okay. The next one, summarize. So why is this summary important? It's because let's say somebody has asked us for a work from home or for a rise, right? The only thing that we are stuck while writing an email or while reading an email is the figure that we want to see, all right? Or the kind of increase that I'm seeing. What is my salary hike? I'm so fixated on that, on those two particular figure, the figure that I want to see, that I don't really read the rest of the email. Suppose I wanted a certain percentage of a hike and I've got only half of it, right? Instead of just seeing that percentage and the final figure, without seeing why is it that I'm not getting the hike that I deserve, we shoot an angry email to say, but you promised me this. And the person who receives the email is only going to see your anger. Because we are trained to pick out things that matter the most to us. But then when we summarize and say, okay, number one, I had asked for this, but I've received this. Number two, I see that you've provided me this feedback, but I want more. I want to know what is it that I can do to get more, right? Or number three, can you please attach more feedback about what do you think is the problem? Is this an organizational problem wherein we are not making enough? Or is it a personal problem wherein I have got this hike because of my performance? So clarify things to know some things are out of our control. Is this in my control or is it not in my control? All right. Okay. How do you feel about it so far? I know that we've been quiet on the chat box for a while. Okay. Awesome. All right. Now, number one, we think active listening is reserved only for our clients, only for the people who make us money or who pay us the money. But a lot of these things can be solved even with your household problems, because whatever is happening in your personal life is going to reflect in your work. With your siblings, with your spouse, with your parents, always make sure that you completely listen to them before coming to formations, coming to your own assumptions. Always ask them, why do you think you are upset that my campus changed? Is it because we are getting less time? Or is it because you have to put in more work before I come home? What is it? So go to the bottom of many issues in your personal life and in your professional life by being a much more effective listener. Okay, so because better listening leads to better observation. Okay, suppose you're listening to somebody, you're giving them a full time, it leads to better conversations. With your clients, make sure that you tell them, yeah, my phone is off. Even if my phone is like this on the table and it keeps blinking, my client knows that I'm not engaged. Make sure your phone is down. Make sure your book or your notepad is out. If you're on a call, tell the person, hold on, I'm making a note. Let me just grab my diary. Okay, I'm completely committed to this conversation. Let's do that. So all of these techniques work effectively in your personal life and in also your professional life. Just a few last things that I wanted to say before all right. Yeah. Yeah. This is the last few summary, because this is not rocket science. We can do this with a lot of practice. Okay. So number one, make sure your body language, you are oriented. Even let's say somebody is talking to you and you're turning, you're facing 45 degrees to that person knows that you're not completely engaged. So face the person completely, especially your feet. the best giveaway to anybody who says, I'm listening to you, is their feet. Are they turning away from you? Are they turning towards you? Is one feet away? Are they trying to finish this conversation and go away? Are both the feet face towards you? Right? Now, what happens when you know that the person sitting next to you is not listening to you? Right? So I just came to realize that most of you are great listeners because of the first activity. We are good, but we want the person opposite to us to also be good. So as soon as you realize that somebody is not focusing their energy and attention on you, be open about it. Tell them, hey, I set the 4 o'clock time because I thought you were free, but looks like you're distracted. Can I call you back after 15 minutes? Or if it's a physical meeting, tell them, hey, something bothering you. I feel like I don't have your full attention, right? I would really appreciate it if you listen to me completely. As soon as you see signs that the person is disengaged, either your conversations are not vivid enough, you're not painting a picture vivid enough, or the person is really distracted. So it's up to you to pull the other person back to the conversation. And this is especially true with clients, wherein you are completely prepped up for your meeting, but your client is in a rush and they're not giving you complete information. So make sure that you persist until you get that complete information. So this is also a two-way process, right? So body language, stay calm, stay steady. Throughout the entire conversation, however small, however big, it can be just deciding lunch menu. It can be your promotion. It can be what is the next project that you should be taking on. Make sure you're calm and steady until you complete the end of the conversation. For example, only towards the end, somebody will be discussing, do we make sure that we don't have plastic bottles, or do we make sure that we have glass water bottles only? And you're going to say, oh, let's just get this done. I need to go. So you're missing some crucial details. Maybe towards the end of a conversation to design the food for your office gathering, you understand, oh, there are people who don't, let's make it an alcohol-free party, or let's do something. And you're saying there are a large chunk of our organization who don't drink because it's their religion. The religion prohibits so. All of those tiny details will go missing if you don't stay calm and steady and completely close the conversation. Right? Distractions are always going to be there. I can't control when my cooker is going to go off at home, right? Because I'm working from home. In the same way, the more we try to control external circumstances, the more frustrated we get. Let's say you're in the middle of a very engaging conversation, this is your dream client, and then the cooker goes off, right? Or your kid comes running into the room. Instead of getting hassled, right? Make the distractions a part of your conversation. Tell them, I'm so happy that our conversation is going so good. I just asked my mom to make palav. I asked my mom to make biryani. So that's the whistle that's going off. And then your client might say, hey, what are you cooking? How do you make that? Oh, are you from Hyderabad? Oh, okay. Which is your favorite restaurant? Distractions sometimes help you make better relationships. Let's say your kid runs into the room, right? Maybe the other person also has a kid the same age, and then you figure out both of you go to the same school, right? So make distractions a part of your conversations, because we are living in a very chaotic world. All right. So the more you control, the more stressed you're going to be. Mindset, all of these things. Go with a clear mind, go with no opinions, go with no judgments, right? And especially for sales, make sure that you're ready for the win, you're ready for the loss, right? Go last. Whenever you're in a group and you're required to give your opinions, required to give your recommendations, required to even debate it out, leaders finish last. Make sure you hear everybody's viewpoint. Make sure you jot it down without any bias, without saying, oh, this person always has the worst of ideas, or this person thinks that he has the best ideas, but they don't work. Make a list of things and then tell them, folks, this is great, but I think this might not. Folks, this is great. I never thought of it. Let's do this. So when you speak last, whenever you've given a chance to somebody else to speak, they are going to appreciate you more. They're going to say, you know what? Venkatesh gave me a chance so that I can finish properly. I'm going to listen completely to Venkatesh. Right? What goes around will come around. So there is no harm in going last. Make sure you have a strong case. Make sure you present your opinions crystal clear, right? Because you've heard crystal clear. All right. So yeah, so all of this applies with your peers, with your seniors, with your clients, with your children, with your parents, all of it. So more than anything, it's the state of calmness. It's the state of saying, okay, I'm prepared for this, without wanting, without fighting for the outcome that I want, because we cannot really control any outcome in this world. We can just be prepared for it. All right. Okay. Any questions
Yeah.
from the audience?
Thank you so much, Gauri, for sharing many tips for effective listening with us. And I think all audience also loved the session. So before we move to Q&A, I would like to take this opportunity to launch a feedback poll.
Yeah.
To understand how our audience like the session, and also this poll will help us to curate many more sessions like this in future. And while the poll runs in the background, now we open for the Q&A. If anybody wants to ask any question, you can raise your hands. I can move you to panel. You can ask your question to Gauri. And also, if you can put your questions in the chat box, and that questions also will be answered now.
Awesome. Any places that I can help you with specifically? And there is no magic wand to be better. And let's say we've made some progress, we are going to slip back, because every day is not the same. It's to consciously tell ourselves we have slipped. I was a better listener last meeting. I did not listen really well. And it's to constantly keep working on it. So that's why this is a life skill. You've got to constantly keep working on it so that you keep remaining, you keep in top form. All right, let me just see if there is other things that I could perhaps share with you. And in the meantime, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me and I will answer it to the best of my ability. I somehow keep getting confused with names. What should I do to overcome that? Okay, Ayush, do you forget names or do you confuse names? Okay, Apritam says go last can't be possible if everybody follows the same. I'm not saying go last on purpose. Let's say you have a discussion, right? There's already a discussion going on, like a debate. I wouldn't say a debate, a discussion, a product discussion. What do we do, right? It's when I say go last, it means give everybody a chance. Don't feel like you've lost because you've not had your say, right? It can also be, we can also reframe it a little bit. We can say, I feel like this is the best, but don't go about elaborating on why do you think this is the best. But I say, but I would love to hear from all of you. Suppose you're a team leader, you can say, folks, I feel like we should do this, but I would love to hear from all of you. Or if it's a cross-functional department meeting, you can say, my department feels that this is not the right way to go about it, but I'm going to hear you. And then let me look at my own opinions again. So that is what I mean by going last, to say I reserve my final opinions or judgments until the end. I just keep calling people with different names. Okay. Other than their actual name. Okay. I think Ayush, let's say this has happened. Number one, you say, like, for example, I'm not great with remembering names. I don't confuse names, but I'm not great at remembering names, right? So one is to say, I'm so sorry. I know that we've spoken so much, but I don't seem to recollect your name. Number two, this is a trick. You can say, hey, I really wanted to refresh my contacts. Can you give me your last name? So as soon as you ask people for the last name, they're going to say things like Bond, James Bond. They're going to give you their full name. That is one trick. I just keep calling people with different names. I think you can associate a name with some other feature of theirs. For example, Ayush means health, right? Ayush, it's good health, right? As soon as you look at somebody's name, understand what their name means and associate some quality of that person with that name. Let's say, for example, somebody's name is Ayur, right? I'm just going with Ayush. But let's say what happens if the person is really unhealthy, right? Look at some aspect of their work that is healthy. The way they code is really healthy, Ayush, right? So associate something good about their names with their work ethic, with their personal lives, with their hobbies, something, so that you remember it better. How about Ayush, I hope that helped, right? How about I'm not interested in some conversation, and so asking questions is the least, but I fight with fear of hurting people. And no matter how good I try, I fail at it. I'm not interested in some conversations, and so asking questions is the least. Unless it's a team meeting, if you're not really, if you really don't want to be a part of the conversation, you can respectfully step out. If you feel like this is just information that I'm never going to use, you can just say, if it's a group of friends, you can say, guys, let's change the topic. Or you can say, I need to do something, and step out of the conversation. I fight with the fear of hurting people, and no matter how good I try, I fail at it. Monica, you can ask for people feedback, right? You can, let's say somebody is hurt by what you've told them. You can go and ask them, what is it about the thing that I said hurt you? Because you can tell them that you're trying to improve yourself, and you can ask them, what is it, right? How can I not do this again? Go ask for an honest feedback. Sometimes everybody's thickness or sensitivity is different, right? It depends on who you're interacting with. And if it's somebody that you're mentoring or something like that, you should tell them that if the sensitivity levels are very low, you can tell them how you can be more resilient about it and how you did not really mean the things that they assumed, right? Just ask for a honest feedback. How to handle people who are not ready to listen to your point of view. That is a thing. They would have to attend an effective listening session. You'll have to schedule one for them. I think so. Like, for example, I have great respect for some of these TV hosts, but they're just not, even the anchor sometimes is not really ready to listen to everybody's point of view. Sometimes, if you're not able to talk to them, texting is better. You can explain things over an email. That is sometimes better. Depends on which hierarchy, who is it that you're talking to, right? I'm very good at backstage, but have some fear to. Okay, I think you should just feel. Don't be afraid of failure. Like, for example, the best way to overcome fear of speaking in a group or in front of somebody is to not have expectations that I will win the prize. I will be the best. If you fail, you fail. Just go ahead it like that. Do not, whenever you're speaking in front of a crowd, do not go with the assumption that you must deliver the best. That is one way to remove apprehensions. It's you putting out your views, right? It's the same with language. sometimes people say I'm not comfortable in expressing in English. That's okay. English is not it's not our mother tongue at all. But with what clarity can you express in any language is what is important, right? I hope that helped, Mudasar. If we make distraction for a good cause or involve others, won't it be a sign of unprofessional or not being prepared for the meeting? It's not, you're not putting in distractions on purpose, right? Okay, let me just think about this. Sometimes it works. Let's say you really want to introduce your kid, or you really want to, let's say you realize that the other person is also a Tintin fan, right? You can casually place some books of Tintin or make sure that something fell off and say, oh, my Tintin collection fell off. Sometimes it's a part of how you make a conversation. What is your goal? But yeah, if you've not taken enough care to reduce distractions, it is, right? But as I said, let's say we are sitting and there are cars honking, not continuously, but even if I take all precautions, even if I'm putting in my earphones, right? Sometimes that is your last option, how to not be unfazed by it. It's better than canceling a really important meeting that you've got. Maybe you're taking it out of an airport lounge, or maybe you're taking out of a hotel lobby, right? That is what I meant. It is a sign of being unprofessional if you have not prepared for that situation, right? If you have not told members in your family not to turn on the vacuum cleaner because you're having this important meeting, that is a sign of preparation. But if somebody does turn it on, what is a bigger distraction is you telling them, nobody in my family understands how important this is to me. And then you muting and then screaming. That becomes a sign of a bigger distraction. It is with how much grace you embrace the distractions around you, right? It's not to say please be in a very highly chaotic environment. It is to say with how much grace can we go about it if it's not in our control. For example, I love preparing for meetings. I love getting my background arranged. I love making sure that I love it. It gives me a different high, right? Going in prepared, including what accessory you're wearing, gives you so much more confidence, right? That definitely is. While I'm talking to someone, at some point, I'm not able to get proper words which will form those sentences. So what happens is, for example, somebody has sent you a message and immediately calls you and says, what do you think? Can you deliver this? Oh, I want this stage. Can we do this? It is good to always say, I just received this message. I want 15 minutes. Can I call you back in 15 to half an hour? Because I want to analyze what you're asking me to do. Even when you're talking to somebody, it is okay to take a pause, completely form the sentences in your mind, and then give it to them, right? It just shows the other person that you don't have ready-made answers. You're also thinking about the best possible solutions. That's a great place to be, but you must make sure that you're working on your speaking skills every day, right? You're not doing it as part of an excuse, but you're doing it because you're improving at the skill. In case it's a language problem, have more conversations in those languages so that you increase the rate of your reaction. Okay, I feel like everybody is in the journey. I think it's just practice. Preparation. I loved it when Mr. Bikram did say this, right? Sometimes mediocrity is considered professional nowadays. The best of mediocre is also mediocre, right? And so we need to realize that at any skill, we need to constantly keep practicing it. If we need to be at that level, for example, I would say I have to still keep practicing at a few of these nuances, right? It is to just put yourself out there. Don't say no to any opportunities. Yeah, but Preetham, you know what? This is my profession. I have to be good at it. right? It's things like that. Like, for example, I'm so bad at coding because it's not my profession, right? And I'm bad at video editing, which my team takes care of me. So it depends, how important is that skill to you? Because nowadays we want to be the best at everything, which is so. Please ask yourself how important it is that you want to address. What big of a crowd? How small of a crowd should you be comfortable with, right? Things like that. So, but at the end of the day, including the artists that we saw on video, everybody practices.
We'll wait for a couple of minutes,
All
Gauri,
right.
so that
Yeah,
we'll
sure.
see whether someone is coming to ask their question, or we'll be good to go.
Okay. So these skills are like that. Sometimes we always need to keep refreshing because it tends to slip out, right? So this is just one of those refresher sessions that people need to constantly. For example, when I was preparing for this session, this was a good reminder for me also to analyze a few of the conversations that I've had, few conversations that I closed in a hurry, things like that. Monica, I hope that helped you. Whatever I said about feedback, I hope it helped you. Ayush, I hope it helped you as well. Okay. Okay.
Gauri, we have a question in the Q&A section.
Okay.
The question is from Sridhar.
Yeah.
So he is asking, do we have to be always diplomatic in answering during professional discussions? How to speak truth without hurting the next person?
Let's say you're in the place of a decision maker. You can't be diplomatic, especially about some of the decisions you take. But you can speak the truth in a way that everybody is on you. So either they can be with you or they can be against you. So for example, let's say an org-wide policy to say, no, this is not what we are going to do because this is affecting the organization's growth in this way. So do you want to be with growth or do you want to be against growth? But yeah, sometimes when you've heard everybody's, especially in the realm of a decision maker, when you've heard everybody's opinions, let's say you have 5 team members who are debating with you to say, let's do this, let's not do this. But then at the end of the day, because of your experience, you know that what you've decided is better. It is to tell them, folks, I have listened to your opinions. This is why this will not work. This will not work. This does not work. And this is why I feel this is a good step to go ahead. I've been in this position before. This has happened before. And this is what I've faced. This is what the company has faced. It can be right from just raising the invoices in a certain font on a certain text to anything huge, to small and big. There is an experience that you're carrying when you're making those decisions, and your team, you want your team members to respect you for those experiences. So for example, I worked with my father before, and my father's way of taking decisions is to shout it in a loud voice and not bother to explain, which just tells me especially, right? I don't want to work with you. Oh, you're so unreasonable, right? So always explain the why behind your decision so that whatever you decide, you want your team to back you up on that decision. I just took a personal experience because I can vouch for my experience. I can vouch for it. So we've had people who've ruined weddings, people who've ruined family trips, people who've ruined the team outings because all they do is shout with a huge voice and assume that everybody needs to take that, which doesn't really work in today's world. You want to be diplomatic, you want to take the right decision, and you also want people to back you on those decisions. So that is important. That is where you won. When they say, yes, yeah, this is drastic, but I'm on this. Yeah. Mr. Sridhar, I hope that helped.
Gauri, if you can see the chat box,
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Okay.
What can we do when mode of communication becomes barrier? If you're working with a lot of cross-country teams or English is, make sure that you're telling your team that you're making an effort to keep improving in your English, but don't let it hamper you putting out your views. So make sure you tell your team, I'm working on it. So every time you're in a meeting with them, use more, converse more in the language that they are comfortable in. That is one way to go about it. Communication skill. Okay. Mr. Preetham, please invite me. Okay. Yeah, of course. I think they should have responded. Yeah. I do try to associate names with something which is easy to remember. I think that's okay. That's okay as well, Ayush. I don't know the kind of people, volume of people that you're meeting as well. So that's okay. Yeah. But in let's say in international teams or in teams with, like, for example, there is this fad of shortening names, right? I have a friend whose name is Supraja, and his full name is Supraja Natarajan, right? And he became Nat, right? So which makes no sense, because most of our names are with Sanskrit origin, and especially when people don't make remembering names and misplacing names is different. But when people shorten your names because it's easier for them to say it, it's a subtle form of racism. It's a very subtle form to say your name is not so important for me to remember. So make sure you don't do that. Apologize to say, I don't remember your name. That's okay. But shortening, and I also found that Supraja, his name in his first company was Roger, which is, and you know what? They start introducing themselves as Roger to their family members, which just puts down your self-esteem. Your name is your identity, which you're not proud of at all. So I think we've finished that era where we have to shorten our name so that somebody else can pronounce it right. That also shows confidence in yourself when you say, no, please call me by my full name. All right. Thank you so much. Is that it?
Yes. So with this, we came to an end of the webinar. And once again, I thank you, Gauri, for agreeing and joining us and taking such a beautiful session for us and for all of our audience today. And next week, we are coming with another interesting session on emotional intelligence at work. So see you all next week and take care. Bye-bye all.